Hey, IT Nation, Sean Lardo here with my great bestest buddy, Matt Topper, that loves all of my humor and laughs at everything I say.
Damn, I've been promoted.
Well, you know what? Take what you can get. So, how you doing, Matt?
I'm doing awesome. How about you? It's early in the day here for us. It's a Monday, unfortunately, but other than that, things are pretty good.
Awesome. So, everybody, we're here for another episode for the Wise Up podcast. We, as you start to see, that we transitioned from Vicky Bruns over to me. So, I'm excited to be here yet again and get off with another episode today that we're going to put out for all of you in the industry. So, Matt, any takes on what we want to cover today?
So I think we're going to cover something that I've noticed in organizations I've been in, both on the MSP and the vendor side. And that is about how to start getting ingrained into the local ecosystem, the local economy, just the local communities that are out there. We talked about a little pre-show. These organizations are still hyper local. They're still boutique, and clients both of MSPs and of vendors want to see their local presence. And our guest today is going to help us talk about how to start doing that almost from zero with limited resources. How do you start getting involved in that without, blasting your advertising all over the place?
Absolutely. I feel like it's a common theme that we see, that people will hire marketing agencies and branding agencies, and then you'll see them 6 months later complain about it because they couldn't get the desired effect that they wanted, right? And it's not to say these agencies are bad, because they're actually really good. It's just a matter of that matchmaking of where they are in their industry or the business, if they're actually asking for the right things to do.
You could almost say that this is how to do networking, right? Think about the best source of clients you have, vendor, MSP, whatever. Your own personal network, those are the best clients. How do you build that and meet the people in the first place?
Absolutely. I feel like it almost becomes, and our guest today will actually, he's I'll say it. I almost have a bromance or a man crush on him. He's done such a great job over the other side of the pond there, building his own network as an MSP at one point, and then coming into the vendor side and building a community of strong peer groups. And he's done it in a very bootstrap grassroots approach to it as well.
Yeah, you don't need to have a giant 7-8 figure budget to make yourself known. You can do it without spending a lot of money, just your own time, your own effort.
Absolutely. And I think it's something that you said it right when you started talking about it, is that this is something that vendors and MSP should really pay attention to, because regardless of what you are, you're still required to build strong relationships and to get as many people involved as possible. And to your point, your personal network typically becomes your strongest source of leads, and where you're going to really generate your revenue from at some point, whether it's directly through that person or through an introduction to somebody else from them.
Yeah, it's just as important on the vendor side, right? Think about, no matter how many billboards you see some company's logo on, that is nowhere near as valuable as going up to your colleague and saying, who do you use for this need, right? That recommendation is 10 times, 100 times more valuable than all the advertising in the world.
Absolutely. So I feel like we should probably stop talking about this and actually bring the expert on.
We've now done the whole episode. There's nothing else to talk
Thank
about.
you for coming. Another episode of Wise Up. Good job. See you next time. So with that being said, let's bring on today's guest. Like I said, one of our good friends, one of our colleagues. He is also his stage name is the Champagne of Pain. Let's bring on Dan Scott.
That threw me.
You like that?
I love it. You need some new business cards.
Yeah. They can start paying me for that, can't they? Matt, Sean, good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Dan, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Support, always.
How's it going? How's the day? All good?
It's well for us. It's just getting kicked off.
Started. I'm from the future.
This is recorded, obviously, so people were going to say, well, for Matt and I, it's morning. For Dan, you're over there in the UK. So what time? It's midday for you now. Almost the end of the day.
3:20.
Yeah,
Dan's from the future, as he described pre-show.
Dan, can you look at the lottery for later and let me know the numbers?
Yeah, we've sent some stuff to you today. I'm afraid it's not good. There's some stuff coming over. But you'll find out in good time. You'll be fine. I believe in you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Believe me. All right, so let's get on. Let's get back on track as away from the train wreck we're about to cause. You have personally been involved in. You worked as an MSP before. And then came over to the vendor side some years back. How many years has it been since you've been in?
About 4.5.
4.5. So in 4.5 years' time now, you essentially have helped to create, build, develop, and progress the evolve pair groups over in Europe, essentially.
Yeah, and also bringing the community out of the lockdowns. The COVID lockdowns. When I first started. We're all stuck at home, and of course, I apologies to people listening. I can't claim to understand what it was like everywhere in the world, but here over in Europe, things were pretty strict with like curfews and how many people you could be in a room with and things like that. All of which are pretty prohibitive to building in-person community. None of them help, put it that way. When it comes at chalking up to life experiences, you'd rather not repeat. But yeah, being involved in a public health crisis when you're trying to get people in a room is definitely on my list. Somewhere, but it's it came good. That's the main thing.
So when you started building this, what was it before? Did you start this from zero? Was there some presence of the community peer groups before, or was this just a brand new thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very fortunate to inherit the legacy of many, many people who have put the community where it is today. I'll point a couple. First of all, Raja Pagadala. If he's listening to this, Roger, hello. We speak quite regularly, don't worry. And then directly from Gareth Johns. Gareth led the community before I did. Gareth was extremely generous to me when I first started. Obviously having moved on to his next challenge, Gareth left to go consult and write a book. He's done both. And Gareth was incredibly generous with his time and with his knowledge and of everything to help me to be successful. I'll be eternally grateful to Gareth for that. And so we inherited, myself and the team took over the peer groups in a very healthy and functioning state, albeit locked away and not allowed to be in a room with more than about 3 people unless you were in a protected bubble with them. And all that kind of fun stuff, which was totally not Gareth's fault in any way, shape, or form.
You mean
very, very lucky to have inherited that.
Did you have the igloos like at restaurants that we had? They literally
pretty much.
Because that's like a great place to really breed really bad germs. Yeah. Hey, get in a small little igloo that has no ventilation and breathe together. But wear the mask in there because that's smart, because that's not going to affect us at all. Anyway.
Yeah, it's, the one that got me was when you go into shops, stores, grocery stores, whatever, supermarkets, and they'd have a one-way system in place. It's like, because COVID can't go the other way. Apparently, it doesn't work.
That's not organized, at least, though. Maybe logistically that would be nice.
No, it's not. At a grocery store today, it was not nice, because if you forget something, you can't go back.
Do you go all the way around the whole store again?
Yeah, you have to go all the way back around. It's like, and then by the time you got back around, you forgot you wanted that item anyway, so you're back to square one again. It's horrible. It's horrible. Anyway, so back to just the fact that you were able to maintain this. And I hate to put you on a spot like this, but vendors right now and MSPs that listen to this, how did you keep engagement going to any degree?
It was tough. It was really tough. Obviously, some people had decided at the time it wasn't for them. They didn't want to meet virtually with their peers. They didn't want to do that. Just wasn't what they signed up for, and I respect that. And really, you do anything you can in anything in life, you try. And by the way, this is one of the things that we're probably going to come back to time and time again. No one's got all the answers to anything. And anyone that claims to is probably lying to you. You try your best. You learn to trust your gut. And I have to remind myself of that every day, of how many times, I'll ask you both, how many times have you, it doesn't matter, personal, professional, you kind of known something deep down, you get a spidey sense about something, but then you procrastinate and you ignore it. And what happens 6 months down the line, you wish you'd just gone and done the thing that you thought it all goes wrong, or something happens. And at the time you think, I should have just done what I thought. And I knew this was going to happen. And
more than once.
The moral of it is try it. Just try hardest. Sorry, Matt.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you just got to try, and you got to throw. Sometimes you got to machine gun stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And one thing's for sure, doing nothing isn't going to make anything any better ever. officially. It doesn't matter what the problem is. So yeah, try and have conversations with people, try and bring people together, offer help. If in doubt, ask people how you can help them, is always a way to win. And that doesn't mean come in with something and then 30 seconds later try and steer it back around to what you want to talk about. Or, some realms and sectors of our industry, that could be a pitch. In others, it could be an ask for something. Whatever, it doesn't matter, but just focus on the other person and how you can help make them successful, or how you can introduce them to someone else. Doesn't not all about what you know, it can be about who you know as well. So how can you make a connection that's going to change someone's day, week, month, year, that otherwise on their own they wouldn't know how to do?
So you're saying the first tip is to try. The second is to put yourself in the perspective of you're just here to help the other people and figure out and find out what they need for success, because it might not be you, but it could be somebody else, but you have to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So my call prior to this was with someone who's looking to enter the industry, a services company who are looking to enter the industry, and very successful in other industry sectors. And they were set up for a call with me by someone who professionally I have no relationship at all, as in that I don't spend money with him, he doesn't spend money with me. There's no contractual, there's no commercial relationship, better way of putting it than professional commercial. But he emailed me and copied in this person I've just spoken to back in December and said, pleasure to make an introduction, looking at moving into the industry. You're the person I thought of in order to help give them some tips and tricks and ideas and thoughts. Would you be able to set up a call? Now, I haven't approached that call with a view of how can I get this person to spend money or to join, sponsor, whatever. You insert your words there, become a client or become an MSP partner if you're on the vendor side of things. I just approach the call with, how can I help? It's a pleasure to meet you. Tell me about you. Tell me about your business. And then, you know a little bit about me because you've been introduced to me. Is there anything that you specifically wanted me to talk to, or is it just in general? Those sort of things. Just see how you can help people. Because then you disarm. We've all been in situations where you're expecting someone to, I know what's coming next. Here comes the special offer. Here it comes. Yeah. One time only.
And you're like, it's Malort.
Yeah. We'll have to bring that to one of our episodes.
Take a shot.
We should have had Malort for this episode, and we should have all taken a drink on this episode.
Good way to start Monday too.
That's a strong way.
It's never a good way to start any day. Let's be honest, right? This is more of I'm making bad decisions post this.
However, I reckon John, if we spend enough on social media advertising, we could get a campaign. We could get something trending that Malort's the best nutritional way to start your day.
Yes.
It would trend.
It would.
Getting us on camera drinking it would trend.
GoFundMe.com /
Right, the faces were.
No.
So Sean, we talked about something similar to this on the episode that we filmed when you were a guest on the show about how vendors should network at conferences. And
yes,
Dan, I think you're mentioning something like be genuinely helpful and be genuinely looking to help your colleagues or people who come up to you. Let's say I'm a vendor who's looking to get into the space. I know I want to help people. I know that I want to try and make connections. What are some concrete steps, though, that you could actually do, like to try and get into that? Is it join social media? Is it attend in-person events? Is it all of the above? What would they actually do next?
Yeah, so it is all of the above. There's no substitute in our industry, I don't believe, for being present and showing up. And that can be showing up virtually. It could be showing up in person. But being there, being in the room, and being around people, like anything in life, the first time we see stuff as human beings, probably about 80% of us are hardwired to go, oh, I'm not sure about that. I'm just going to ignore that. That could be a brand. To an extent, it could be a person, maybe not ignore, but you know what I mean? But you just, you got to condition yourself to things. What's the saying? I know it goes up every time I ask somebody of, let's look at buying, for example, like people buy on like the 13th interaction or something with a brand or with a product and a service. Now, we're not talking about getting people to buy anything here. We're just talking about building your connections and building your network. It's very, very similar. Don't expect, I often say when I first started making my way out there, I people approach me very skeptically, and I'm okay with that. Just be okay with, don't blame other people for doing that. Just understand that it's going to happen, and understand that you've got to work your way through that a little bit. You've got to build some trust. You've got to build some rapport, and people have got to get the confidence that you're not going to be like the lowest common denominator, if you will, like that really like all of their stereotype negatives of interactions that they've had within the industry, and give them the confidence that you're not going to be, quote unquote, that guy or girl or lady. It's not. As soon as you do that, things start to move and they start to change. So the first thing is being present. The second thing is just offering help. Don't expect the help to be taken up, because you might not have yet gained the trust to be able to provide the help. But there's nothing wrong with saying, is there anything I can do to help you? It is, can I introduce you to people? Could I promote what you're doing? Extend an olive branch. Someone's got to start somewhere. So don't come into things expecting other people to do stuff for you. Ask how you can make them successful, and do all you can. Just be a good, a good citizen, if you will, of that relationship. I'm a firm believer in what you put out there will come back and then some, if you know what I mean. Like for me, I like to be in a place where I feel as though if I needed favors from people, if I needed to call in a favor, if I needed some help and support, then people would be generous enough to do that for me. And I believe that I've got to go out there and build that rapport and that support for that to be possible. I don't expect it from anyone.
So you're saying first you have to have empathy and understanding, and then you got to earn your value in the conversation.
Absolutely. And also here's the one I should have mentioned up front. Get to know people as you, and get to know them as people. As we connect on a personal basis, so many, we try and do things very formally. Don't talk in a way that you wouldn't talk. You know what I mean? It sounds obvious, doesn't it, when you say it that way?
Yeah.
But be you, be genuine, be open. How are you? No, you know what? Bit rubbish. Not felt great recently. A couple of things haven't gone my way in the last couple of weeks is a lot better than, oh yeah, marvelous. We're trending on the growth target and we're doing this, that. Just be real. And all the people I know in this industry, Craig Fulton, a mentor of mine, former leader of mine as well within the company. Craig said that the thing that takes the most courage, or that it's the hardest thing to be on stage, is yourself. And he's right. He's 100% right. And having the confidence and the courage to be yourself is an absolute game changer. And I'm not saying I'm always perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination, but staying true to who you are and connecting with people with who they are, it is so much more than, yes, show professional interest, of course, but look to be on the level with people.
I love that.
I think you raised such a good point in your last answer that I don't hear mentioned very often. In sales we do, but that is to offer help and not expect it to be accepted every time. That's still a success, right? The person will remember that you genuinely offered to help them with something. And I don't really hear that talked about much. I hear about it, yes, get used to hearing no when you're trying to sell or pitch something, but just getting that I'm willing to help you, you can take me up on it or not, really shows empathy and shows value. And it's not just showing it, right? It really is being empathetic and really is providing value.
Absolutely. And let's just like put it into some different contexts as well for people listening who might be in different sectors of our amazing industry, and all are valid and all are just as valid as one another. It's like, I remember in my MSP career, so it's 13 years across 2 MSPs, neither of which exist anymore. They've both been acquired, which tells you a lot about our industry and where that's heading, if you know what I mean. So there's no direct parallels. I remember having we'd taken on a new team. So we'd expanded an existing team, but it was almost like a brand new team that was coming in. And I needed to order some licenses for various bits and pieces. This, and about brands and pat drills and all that kind of thing. So I needed to expand that. I remember contacting the account manager I was dealing with at the time. I don't know, let's say it was the 20th of the month, and just saying, look, I need these online by like in 4 weeks' time, ready for them all to start. Is it better for you as a human being if I do this now, or would you rather have it next month? And just small things like that of, let's try and break down the barriers between us. Yes, there's a commercial relationship. I probably want to pay a little less. You probably want me to pay a little more. That's fine. That's human nature. But equally, like, it could be that that person was all done and dusted. Things are just going to go into the top of I'd much rather fill up the barrel for next month, if you will, than I would for this month. And that's just me asking as a human being, but of how I can try and help somebody out, and just little things like that. But you know what? At some point in time, I'm going to have a product challenge, or I'm going to have something I've made a mistake, and I just need someone to help get me out of the proverbial. But it doesn't matter what's written in a contract. We're all, as human beings, a lot more likely to help people if we think that they would help us. That's just in the back of your head. That's what's in the the reptilian brain, as they call it, in the middle.
Yes.
And that's why it makes the world go around.
All right, so I want to come back to even how you're able to build your network, and I want to be able to show the parallels between a vendor that works globally as opposed to most MSPs. The majority of them work locally, right? And the importance of it. If you coming out of COVID, there was no access to anything. I know for me, the struggle that we had pre-ConnectWise also was we had all these shows scheduled that we were going to go to, which is the greatest way to get in front of everybody, right? We had all these shows that we were going to sponsor, and we were going to be at every event. And I literally had 27 events I was going to that year. It went from 27 to 0. That's one day. So that's one aspect, which is just logistically a nightmare, right? But what was the important factor for you after you established, hey, I'm here to help you? How did you get outreach to people? How did you maintain the relationships? And how did you build a bigger network for our community, for the peer groups?
Yeah. So it's just trying to put yourself in as many places as you can find. I'm going to repeat things a lot, for which people are listening, I do apologize, but it's.
We'll cut out the dumb things you say. Anything dumb you say.
I'll give you a working example. There's an organization that before lockdowns, I had arranged to do a keynote. And I was also, before role change and sector change, I'd arranged to do, been very privileged to ask to do a keynote speech for them. And we'd agreed what it was going to be on. And we'd agreed, I guess, commercial terms around me doing it and all those sorts of, all the fun stuff. But then Boris Johnson stood in front of a lectern and told us all we couldn't leave the house. And other world leaders did the same thing. And I got an email from them, and they said, obviously, doing it in person is not possible. So they didn't say it in such crass terms, but how much? If what does this now mean? And I just did. I looked at it for about 20 seconds, and I just hit the reply button and went, "We've all got enough going on at the moment. I'll do it for nothing, and we'll do it virtually, and we'll do it exactly as we would do. The most important thing right now is that we just all keep pushing each other forwards, because we live in a weird place and we live in a weird time." And that was the most important thing. And do you know what? Off the back of that, I've had a lot of opportunities come my way in terms of introductions, in terms of have you met? It's a pleasure to introduce you to. I did end up going back to see them in person and doing it once that was possible again. I think 22, I think it was. And it was a privilege. It was a real privilege. And it was, but just occasionally you get a ball kind of thrown towards you, and you've got two choices with what to do. And again, like, listen to your gut. You know the right thing to do. You know the right way to approach a problem. So that there's a working example. Outside of that, just try and building a reputation or anything for being approachable, for being friendly, for being open to help. And that quickly catches on, because let's face it, not everybody is known for those sorts of things. And so if you can get that out there, help people, interact with people online, and not just the people you do business with. There's a real temptation out there to kind of only chat to people, react to stuff, whatever, comment on things, engage with people when they are someone who you send an invoice to every month. I challenge you to not to do it, and to expand that kind of. They might even compete with you. Plenty of fish in the sea, and it's a better world out there when you're interacting with those around you. Because, by the way, even the people you compete with, that could all change tomorrow, very, very quickly.
Absolutely. So how do you? Okay. So again, So let's switch over to MSP world then.
Mhm.
So pre-COVID, none of that was going on. So that's not even a conversation point. How did you grow the business there? Where did you work? What circles were you in? How did you build business there?
Well, through I'll talk about engaging better with community. The secret to all of all of my success was community, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
From learning from people who are, I say worse, like it's in the past tense, they're fine, they're still here, who are like super smart, and who you meet someone and you think, she's fantastic, she's brilliant, he's amazing, whatever. And I wanted, if I could learn, I'll quote James Ratcliffe, who's an Evolve member. He said, if I could learn the bits that he's forgotten or she's forgotten, then I'd be great. You know what I mean? Then I'd be pretty decent. And then just being around those people and asking for their help, asking for their support, asking if they wouldn't mind giving you some time for a phone call or meet up after an event or anything. You know what I mean? How can I learn from you? Not how can I pulp you and take advantage of you or anything like that, but how can I really value what you did there. That presentation was superb. It's really valuable. I've written loads of notes. Would you mind if I drop you a LinkedIn request and I send you an email? I've got a couple of questions or anything. It would be great to have 20 minutes on the phone. Just grow your network and be humble. Be open to changing your worldview on a couple of bits.
Well, I have a question to that though. All that said, we still have to answer the question of I'm a brand new person. I don't know anybody. Where do I go first? Right. And let's start on the MSP side first. I'm a brand new I just started working for an MSP, or I'm a brand new MSP. I probably became an MSP because of a few things. One was probably because I had people asking me to help them with their computers. I already had my full-time IT job and I hated everybody there. So I wanted to start my own business because I could do it better. And that's correct. And so, but now
I feel like it's usually that, right? It's usually someone who was a technical engineer person said, hey, let me start my own business.
It almost always is, right? Because they start to because the business they work for doesn't want to do the business that is needed elsewhere. And so they start doing side jobs, a lot of cases. So, but now that I've done this, now I've got my 4 clients that are probably break fix, not MSP, because I'm only fixing their stuff right now. But how do I now find more? Where do I go for this? Where do and I think this is real for me. I'm really interested because in the US here, I know things that I would do, but I don't know if it's any different over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say in that, so we want to go and find clients, we want to go and find people, be where they are. So let's look at 2 possibilities. We're going to look at industry aligned. So you might, for example, have started a business and said, right, I used to work in an accountancy company. I'm going to help accountants. I speak accountant because I've worked in that business before. Second possibility, second scenario is locale, is geography. So let's first of all pick up the vertically aligned. Let's pick up the industry. You already know how to speak the way that your clients speak because you've worked in it, perhaps, or you've been exposed to it, or you've just spent time learning about it. Go and be where they are. Go and be where those people are. Go and find. That could be online in certain industries. It could be in person or a combination of both. There's a temptation to only spend time with your own tribe. And too many people spend a great deal of time within industry communities within our industry, but they never get out. But go and be where the people who you want to meet are. Learn what's topical to them, what's great for them, what's really annoying them, what's keeping them up at night. Learn how to better speak their language, how to familiarize themselves. And again, be an expert to them. Be, as we would say within the Evolve community, anyone who has read the book, be a go-giver to them outside of the fact that you may or may not invoice them. Learn how to do that. I'll call out someone who I think does it superbly within our industry, within Europe, a lady called Heather Alford. Heather, hope you're listening. If you are, if not, someone's told you. Hello. Heather runs a business that helps MSPs with their finances, amongst other things, but predominantly help with financial support. So Heather is from outside of our industry, but she immerses herself within our industry. It's superb. And you think if the people who go to Heather for help and support with their business finances and structuring, could do that in reverse, could mirror that, like how successful people can be by being there, by giving, by taking part, by not looking to sell, just looking to grow their network and looking to provide value where they can and help and support and congratulations and, be that good community citizen. It's incredibly powerful. Second of all, with locale, very, very similar in many ways. But again, be a figurehead within your community or within your local community or within your geography. Be known so that when people might say within chambers of commerce or within local authorities, anything, anywhere and around, be a good corporate citizen. Sponsor some stuff. Go and put some prizes in for school sports day. You know what I mean? Go and fund some rounds of drinks somewhere. Anything, but be. I once did a softball team T-shirt for my clients because they played softball against people on their business park once a year for a day, and so they went running around the softball field with our logo on for those hours. So go and just get out there, be within the community, because you're going to want to connect with people and grow your network of people who one day might be a client. You can either wait for them to come to you. You can spend a ton of money on going out to try and find them through different digital channels and all that fun stuff, or you can go out and find them and you can get to know them. And the person you find and get to know may not be the person that you do business with, but they might be having a pint down the pub one day, and one person saying, "I really struggle with our technology provider," and say, "Oh, I know a person that does that. Let me give you her or his number." And world goes around.
So could you almost sum this up as saying be genuine and be authentic and participate in the community, right? The absolute last thing I can imagine you want to do is go to the chamber meeting and say, "Hey, everybody, want to buy some IT services?" It's really showing genuine curiosity and being interested in what they have to say. And when you ask them what keeps you up at night, actually caring about the answer more than just it being part of your sales pitch.
Absolutely. And knowing that you can have, if you really have to, like time it so that I won't really talk about what I do unless they ask for at least 3 conversations, for example. You know what I mean? I won't try that walking away and thinking to yourself, there's a challenge, isn't there? Like, try and give away nothing about you. Don't be obtuse and say, "Oh, I can't possibly tell you. I'd have to kill you." Those kind of things. It's not. No one's James Bond. However, it's trying to just think. I'm going to approach. I'm going to an event, and it could be, a legal exhibition fair. And you say, right, my challenge to myself is I'm going to have 10 conversations with people, and unless they directly ask, I will tell them nothing about me. I will just, all I want to do is learn and make notes about them and make them feel like the most important person on the planet for the 30 seconds of our conversation. We all know those people, don't we? All know them, that when you're talking to them, you just feel like the rest of the world doesn't exist. It's such an amazing quality in people. I've been fortunate to know and work with a fair few of them. And it's such an amazing feeling. Try and emulate that feeling. You might not get 100% of the way because some people out there are just gifted and talented at doing that. But that feeling of, just genuinely show interest in people without a view of agreeing and then giving your opinion. I agree. I remember this one time that I did.
Right. Say that one word and then just go off on your monologue. I hate that.
That's it. Funny you should say that.
We should start making up monologues and stories. I think that'd be even better. Like somebody says one word to us, like, "Let me tell you about that." Like whatever word it is, like, "Hi, hi, I was once in Denver," and so let me repeat what I've heard so far. First, it's about logistics, making sure you know where the fishing holes are, so to speak. Right? Find it, whether it's based off your locale or industry or whatever it may be. Figure out what those are, right? Then submerge yourself into it by being a perpetual student, essentially, and trying to be that go-giver, good Samaritan. Creating quality conversations based off asking people how they did this, what's going on in the space, is there anything I can ever help you with, whatever it is, And so that's basically probably the 2 biggest fundamental pieces first.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you a working example as well. This is a MSP example. Did a number of presentations to an audience that I didn't have to generate, which is always a very nice thing, which was done by the bank that we used. So it turns out that the bank that the company banked with, we're what they called a managed account, whereby you get an account manager. Essentially, you get the name of a person. And it turns out those people are tasked with putting a number of their managed accounts in a room every, say, quarter for easy conversation. And when they do, of course, it's not their day job, and they find it quite hard. If you know what I mean, like they can run bank accounts very, very well. They're not so great at running really mini events. And we did an event with them where I followed a lawyer who was speaking about GDPR. I spoke about cybersecurity, nothing to do with products, nothing to do with pieces of software or anything along those lines. More about I think it was probably like 10 ways you can better protect yourself without spending anything. That you can do it just by changing your culture and your policies and how you approach a problem. Off the back of that, not only did some people approach us to learn more about who we are and what we do, because they hadn't heard it from the people who they were working with, but then also some more of the managed account managers who were all lingering at the back of the room, getting cues off each other so they can figure out how, like, we all hate doing this. So we come and watch each other and find out what works and what doesn't. Said, could you come and do that at mine? Like, I've got one coming up in 3 months. I'm like, I'll do it any way you like. If you're going to put 50 people in a room whose businesses are probably decent enough that, of a decent enough size that you deem them as worth managing, I'll fly halfway across the world if we've got to go and do it. It doesn't bother me. And so you do, but you do it just by going out there and being good. Like, if I'd have stood up and just pitched for 30 minutes, we wouldn't have got those invitations, and we probably wouldn't have never been asked back. But did very well.
And so you didn't directly pitch, but you did in a way, right? You demonstrated value, and it's associated with your name and your organization's name just by being out there giving positive information out.
Who do you buy from? You buy from who you trust, because if you don't trust a person or a product, you won't buy it, because you ultimately think you're going to be made to look stupid as a result of it. It's going to be negative to your perception. If you put that in a business context, it's probably going to be negative to your perception within the company. Who do you trust? You trust who you know, because if you don't know them, you can't decide whether you trust them or not. So the first thing is about building connection, and then from connection is building rapport. And then from there, I'm a believer that people can self-select in to say, actually, let's put it in an MSP perspective, like, we've known each other for a while. I've heard you speak at a couple of these events. Always enjoy what you do. I know a number of people here use you and are very happy with what you do. Actually, we've got a renewal coming up in 3 months. Our current provider we've been with for a number of years, but we've not been that happy with them, or we just don't feel like the relationship's really going anywhere. Really value you coming in. So I can't promise you anything, but really value you coming in for a conversation to, like, hear a bit more about what you're about. Like, that's the light bulb moment, isn't it? That's what you've been working towards, and what you can gain, but you've got there by not reminding people every couple of minutes that this month you've got a free assessment going on, a free network assessment.
That's the payoff.
Yeah. Well, I think you just said it best in the beginning there. People buy from who they trust. It's not the product first. No. It's the person. I mean, it's different if you're talking about Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Microsoft that are just mass marketed. They have years of longevity of establishing track record of having products that you want, period. So you're always going to buy them. But when you're talking about a small business, unknown, it comes back to you. And I think you being on stage talking, I stress to people, presentation is everything. And your first presentation is you. And if you aren't squared away when you talk about it and you're on stage, nobody's ever going to think about doing business with you, regardless of whatever. You could literally have the cure for cancer, but they're not going to listen to you because they watched you on stage and you were a train wreck and had zero knowledge. So the first thing you sell is yourself in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. And but then there's nothing wrong equally with being, because then there's a temptation to try and watch 100 Steve Jobs keynotes and emulate them. But there's a way to being yourself, for being humble, for being real, for being vulnerable, and people respect that. I believe there's nothing, there's no desert. You don't have to go out there and become people will pick the same kind of 5, usually, kind of top speakers that they would look to emulate when it comes to how to make that presentation. That could be a 1-to-1, by the way, or a 1-to-many. It doesn't matter. But it's not about being Jordan Belfort, sell me this pen. Kind of
That's
moment.
No, we're not. I won't even acknowledge that. Sell me this pen. First off, that's great and all for if you want to do a role play on critical thinking and real quick responses, sure. I like that, right? Because that's one thing about conversations, they have to be engaged. So you have to be constantly able to say and do things in a conversation that is based off, because you don't know who you're meeting today. And they can have other things they want to talk about. So you have to be ready for that. So I'm okay with that. And to use Steve Jobs, that's really putting people in a bad position, because Steve Jobs was brilliant on stage, obviously.
Yeah. Or anyone.
Yeah, right. I mean, he sold a product that wasn't even built to get Apple to hire him back. I mean, come on. I mean, and everybody thought that he was ready to get a bunch of money for something that didn't even exist, because his presentation was so good. So
I mean, think about the three of us on this call. We all have vastly different presentation styles. It would be a disaster if I tried to emulate you, Sean, or you tried to emulate me.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. You have a knowledge that I don't have, and I would just be done for. I feel like I'm somewhere in between you and Dan both, so I'm good with that. I'll stay there in my happy little medium place. Just saying. So if and actually, coming back around to whole community engagement and everything in general, we're a very short time away from your big event in March.
How many days did you say before, Dan?
Absolutely. I think 59 on the day we're recording.
So the day we record this, yes, 59. But when this comes out, who knows what day this is coming out? So it might be within a matter of a month, maybe 30 days. And so for anybody that's watching this, because they have nothing better to do but watch us talk about nothingness, you can still buy tickets and register for the event. And if you're a vendor, you can still sponsor as of right now for IT Nation Europe in London, March 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Correct.
See, which, by the way, I will be there too. Tickets booked.
So you can give him a piece of your mind in person.
Yes, you can. And as you tell me your peace of mind, I'll refer you to Dan.
Yeah.
Listening.
Yeah. Again, you look at the conference. The most valuable thing that people will invest with us that week isn't the cost of them attending; it is their time. I view it that I personally owe everyone who is coming, except Sean, with the.
Wait, repeat that again.
Nothing, dear. Nothing, darling. I view it that I will put my heart and soul and everything that I have, and the team will, into making sure that you find value, that you find connection, that you find community, and that afterwards you think there's a million ways I could have spent the last 2.5 days, and I choose that one every time. Mm-hmm. And again, by the way, another trick another thing is take it personally. Do and care about what you do. If you don't, stop it and do something else. Care about the people that you do business with, care about the people who you build relationships with, because that shows. And we've all met shallow people before. We've all met people where you think, do you know what? As soon as she turns that corner around there, or he turns that corner, that I'm gone. Or they introduce themselves to you about 3 days later or whatever. It's like, yeah, we're met.
Yes. Well, I think the worst thing that happens is when you meet. Let's start with when you get the LinkedIn invite and then they send you a sales pitch direct message, right? I hate that so much. And especially if I see it's from the CEO of a company, I feel obligated to respond back and say, you're the CEO. You should know better than to pitch me before you know me, right? That's one. Two, when you're getting ready, when they see that you're speaking at an event and they start reaching out to you because they're coming to the event because they want time with you to talk about their product. I don't want to talk about that with you. I don't know you yet. I'd rather talk to you about you and me and how we're cool and similarities of whatever. I don't care if it's the same sporting event, the same, I don't know, your kid plays baseball, my kid plays baseball. I don't care anything about anything else other than that. And then also the next one, and you're right with the fact that I see you at the event, all you do is pitch me on what your ideas. Like, I'm glad you're qualifying
your pitch, whatever you've just got a funnel written on the front of you, and it's and as soon as you qualify me out, you lose interest in me. And people see that, and people might not say it, but they do see it. And then, as well, word travels fast in community, and in both directions for both good and bad. And it's just be aware of show up the way that you want to be seen, and the way that you want to see others.
Well, think of how you'd walk into a group of friends. If you went to the bar or the pub today and just went to have a beer, what would you do? What would your conversation consist of? It wouldn't be like, oh, hey, you drinking a whiskey. Let me tell you about my product.
Oh, my day. Just talk about
Unless
me.
you're going to be selling me Malort. I mean, at that point, maybe you can have that conversation. But the reality is, but yeah, that's exactly it. So again, IT Nation Europe's around the corner. I'm excited. I'll be there. I'm going to try to find some really good outfit to wear to be in London.
Beefeater costume. Let's get you in one of those bear hat things. That'll do.
Wait. Like, hold on. How about like this?
Similar.
Something like that?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a good starter for tennis, we would say.
This is all
absolutely.
I mean, look, I just have this sitting here. It's perfect.
Yeah, we'll have to dive into that at some point. Why that's just sitting there.
I have random stuff everywhere here. Anyway, go on.
All right, so we're wrapping up. It's time for one more question. Dan, we asked this to everyone on the show, and that is, if you could give our listeners one piece of advice in the form of a habit that they should either start doing or stop doing to, in this case, become more engaged or more plugged into their local community, what would that be? Okay,
so I'll start with professional, but they probably apply to both, actually, but I'll start with professional, and that's the moral of it is, as my good friend Brad Scow would say, don't let perfection get in the way of progress. And what I would say is, have a go. Just do it. The 100th time that you do something is going to be probably 100 times better than the first time you do it, and 1,000 times, and the 1,000th, etc., etc., etc. You will build. We all look at, especially in this world of social media, curated experiences and content, we look at things out there and we think, I couldn't possibly do that, so I won't. And you hold yourself back. What you don't realize is that everyone who's doing that everyone started somewhere. No one was born with any ability to do something, or very few, if exceptionally few. And usually they go into sports. So how can we have a go would be how I'd sum that one up. Have a go, try it, and keep trying it, and focus on the trying it part rather than the I'm not as good. I can't deliver keynotes as well as Steve Jobs. So do you know what? I just won't bother. Do it as you, and make sure. I hopefully don't completely bomb the first one. I equally know that by doing it, you're going to learn things. You're going to learn what works, what didn't, and you're going to adapt to it. But you really won't do that. And if you don't try, some of the greatest. Some of the best avenues I've ever been down have come across almost by accident professionally, because I've said yes to something. I've gone, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's give it a go. And you meet people, you try things, you learn things, and that leads to more. And when you look at where you are today, you sort of reverse the breadcrumb trail. An awful lot of it has been because I had a go, and it might not have been in my wheelhouse, as you might say. Remember, once upon a time, I was pretty good with VMware and Exchange. So if you think about where I am today, or what I do today, better way of putting it, off the back of that, it definitely wasn't a natural evolution of a career path. It's because I tried stuff. Personal. Good question. Here's a one. Learn to enjoy things that you're not very good at. And I'll clarify what I mean by that. Sean asked me for a bio once upon a time, and I have a couple of different copies of bio depending on audience. And one is good at wine, bad at skiing, and with a few other bits thrown in there, because I am. I can drink red wine like they're going to stop making it, and I'm pretty terrible at skiing. I really enjoy skiing. I just so happens I'm really bad at it. I'm trying to moderate my language because I'm.
I found that you can ski better if you drink enough wine.
Oh God, Lord! Ski better in the afternoon.
When you're ready, we can do that.
A couple of carafes in from lunch, absolutely, yeah.
Or while you're skiing, I just drink while I'm skiing. Literally, I have a wine flask. I have a wine. You put the whole bottle of wine in the flask. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, I like that idea. Actually, that's quite a good one. But the moral is, like, yeah, I'm not very good at it. My wife's an incredible skier. Like, it's honestly incredible. And so we generally ski separately because then everyone can do their own thing, have their own holiday, and have some fun.
Because you're on the bunny trail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm the captain of what we affectionately known as a friendship group as Team Lunch. So I just make sure we've got the right table at the right restaurant with a magnum of rosé kind of sat in the sunshine.
Because you're close to the resort anyway, because you haven't gotten far.
Precisely. Yeah, precisely. But the moral of it is like but enjoy it. Learn to enjoy it. Just say, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I love doing it. I'm not really good at it, but it'll be fun. And yeah, I like that. So yeah, those would be my two. Yeah, have a go professionally, and you'll build on it. It's like compound interest. You know, we all get lectured out about compound interest, and there's compound experience as well. Of I get better at things because I compound what I learn, and yeah, personally, be happy. It doesn't have to be happy because you're brilliant at stuff. Like, just learn to be happy with what you're doing, and that you can enjoy something that you do without necessarily being awesome at it.
Compound experience. That is a mic drop moment.
Yeah, definitely one that I've got from somewhere, which I will remember once we hit the stop button, if you know what I mean. So there's no such thing as original thinking going in my head. I read a lot, I listen a lot, and I'm incredibly thankful for all the people who share their knowledge and wisdom with me. And that will definitely be one of those. I just can't quite remember where it came from.
Okay, so yes, I don't think we can surpass anything you just said.
No.
Well, if it makes some sense, that's all right. If I pass the test, I don't get binned off. That's pretty good. I'll take that.
You did okay. Let's be honest, you did okay.
Well, Dan, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Thank you. This was insightful. I feel like anybody who watched this should have been able to gather the fact that you obviously have a true interest in the success of the community, and not just community is such a vague term, right? But the people within the community itself. So, I mean, I appreciate it. I think we all appreciate what you do because we watch you doing, well, you're basically like, plane, trains, and automobiles because you love trains.
It saves me driving on a Friday because after I do a whole week of events and things, like, I don't want to drive home. That was the reason behind it. I will say this to sum it up. Is the last thing for me. But it hopefully gives people a view into sort of what motivates me or what drives me. I view it as a genuine privilege and a genuine honor to be able to be a tiny, tiny little part, and I am a tiny part of someone's journey, and be that entrepreneurial journey, business journey, career journey, anything. That's how I approach what I do. And I'm always humbled that people, either from joining Evolve or from having a chat to someone at a conference, or doesn't matter, interacting with them on a forum or a Signal group. Matt and I are in a couple of those as well, and it's a genuine privilege and honor for me for people to allow me into just a small little part of their journey, and I love it. It's been an amazing 4.5 years, and I look forward to the future and all that it will hold. But thank you for having me on.
Jesus, it's like we're talking to Mr. Rogers. This is amazing.
I don't know who Mr. Rogers is, but there we are. I'll laugh.
You don't know Mr. Rogers?
Oh, man.
Oh, God. And this is why, we'll work on that later. That's a whole separate conversation. Is
that along the lines of, I didn't know what Malort was, and then I did?
No, it's not.
It's better than that.
It's, just look up Mr. Rogers, and you'll understand. So, okay, yes. Dan, thank you for coming on. Matthew, great job today as always. Again, I'll be seeing you in March for IT Nation Europe. For those watching, absolutely make sure you register. We will have some point, I'm sure we'll have the lower banner that will go across. It'll give you the link to register. For all the vendors that want to be part of this, feel free to reach out to myself, Dan, not Matt because he doesn't care, but Davina, obviously too. But again, thank you for tuning in. We will see you in the next episode, whenever that will be released. I don't know when this is released. Until then, we are out of here.
See you, everyone.
Bye.